I was applying to residency programs in Toronto and was not able to get in. So I thought I had this novice idea of writing letters to the program directors explaining about myself, where I came from. So finally, you know, I kept on getting rejection letters, and I couldn't figure out why, because, you know, I was a high-scoring candidate, and, you know, I thought myself that I was a good parcel, really. So, so then I finally got a time to meet one of the lead topmost fetal-maternal medicine radiologists who were very, very famous. You know, people would die to work for them. And when I finally got the time to meet him, and he said, Dr. Farah, you know, I'm afraid of women. That's why I don't take them into training programs. I said, do I look scary to you? He said, you don't, but I've never trained a woman. So I said, try me, you know, try to train me. Maybe you'll get, you know, your fear out of the way. So he reluctantly accepted me, and that was the program I started. All I had to do was ask, and it was right from his perspective that he never trained a woman ever. So, and in his mind, maybe it was a difficult thing. So sometimes, you know, all you have to do is ask. And to this day, actually, you know, women in North America struggle. For example, a male doctor's salary is always more than the female doctor's salary at the same position. So gender bias is not only in Pakistan, as you know, we say. It's actually all over the world. When I landed in Saudi Arabia, 17 years down the road, as a head of the radiology department in one of the largest hospitals, military hospitals in Riyadh, they told me a woman can't do this job because they are Saudis, they are Filipinos, they are Egyptians, they are Chinese people working there, and Dr. Farah, I don't think you will be able to do it. So saying that I won't be able to do it is a challenge for me. I showed them I could do it, and I could do it better than anybody else that there was. Because that is my driving force. If somebody says I can't do it, I have to show and prove to them. So each day for a woman, I think it's to prove yourself. And you know, people think this is a beautiful woman. She might not have the brains. Yeah. That happens, because as soon as somebody would see me, I'm not saying I'm beautiful, but still, you know, it's natural for a person to say that, you know, she might not be that brainy. So you have to really prove yourself that you are brainy. You were at the top of the field. I don't like to brag. I was at the top of the field in Toronto. I was faculty at U of T. So I did it because of my sheer determination. Now that when I landed in Karachi and I landed in my own father's business, this was the first time I took a seat, I think, which was hereditary to me, was my inheritance. And I thought it would be a breeze, you know, to rule them. But I had to prove myself here too, because I was Dr. Farhan Isa's sister. Was I as good as him? You know, am I as good as the other brothers that I have? I'm the only girl. So am I as good as him? So I have to prove myself daily that I can do what he can do. And and I have to say really that I wouldn't be here without the men's support in my life. You know, my father, inspiration. My brothers, my backbone. My brothers have been my backbone. They have supported me, and my husband, who has stood by me through thick and thin. So I have to give kudos to these men who believe in the woman, you know, that I was. And to this day, you know, I get that confidence whenever I need it. So I have to say, it's not only that. Struggling is, you know, a part of life, but you know, when you have that extra support from a man, it makes a difference.
So again, you have the support of your family.
Yes.
Can you hear? You have the support of your family. But you know, this is with almost everywhere, especially in my profession, because I'm a chartered accountant. Women with numbers are judged every day. Your decisions are judged every day. So this is everywhere. Shah Jahan, you are among the young lot of successful entrepreneurs in Pakistan, you know, because you've made your mark because of the innovation that you've brought. You know, name it Home Express is one name that many people in Pakistan know. although entrepreneurship is much talked about, career path these days, but what do you think are the opportunities here in Pakistan? And as far as successful women entrepreneurs are concerned, we do have successful entrepreneurs like Fiza Farhan, we have Jahan Ara. But how do you think that, we can bring in Pakistan, as far as business is concerned, gender balance? Pakistan can be more gender balanced as far as business is concerned.
So, it's very common to say that women are 50% of the population. And the fact of the matter is that unless we have this 50%, working side by side with the other 50%, we can't really lift up our economy. And, but that's not just the economy, right? So even at a family level, women are the driving force in a family. They generally choose, which children will get, which schools they will go to, whether the family will migrate to another country, whether the family will move somewhere else. From a social upliftment perspective as well, it's always the women who are making those choices. And if they're also participating in economically empowering their families, so if a family is earning 100,000, if they're earning 200,000, then all of a sudden the opportunities for the children also multiply, which means your next generation is going to start looking at the world totally differently, and they're going to participate in the world differently. And also, I think what happens is that balance between the husband and wife in running a family together, both outside and inside, the husband contributing in, so that also creates a friendship and a relationship which is in which there can be potentially more alignment between how they see things, how they see the future, instead of a traditional family structure in which the man is taking one angle of economic opportunity and the woman is taking the angle of how family should be run and so on. So and in my professional experience, I've worked with a lot of women. My wife is an entrepreneur. My sister is an entrepreneur. And my clients as well, we've dealt with a lot of women who run small, medium-sized, large businesses, different sizes. And so what I really like about women-run businesses is that they're generally more detail-oriented, and which is in general Pakistanis lack. Pakistanis are not very detail-oriented and they're not very process-oriented. I think women are more detail-oriented and process-oriented, and they bring that finesse to what they do. Which we see in, for example, Nilufer's businesses as well. So I think the opportunities are there from a women perspective. The challenges are more in terms of, as entrepreneurs in general, there are lots of challenges. But I think as women entrepreneurs, the opportunities are there, absolutely.
So it's more about educating the importance of women coming into business, doing jobs. It starts at the family level, right? Mr. Najam, you've played a pivotal role in the financial institution development in Pakistan. But before you started your own business, you've had some extensive training and experience, and job experience. So would you suggest that before anyone starts his own business, some level of job experience is necessary? And from this note, I'll ask you another question. How do you think that do you think that organizations over time have become women friendly in Pakistan?
Sorry, what was the last part?
Organizations in Pakistan have become women friendly.
Okay. In terms of experience, we all have experience. Once you spend 20, 25 years of your life being employed or in some other capacity, you all have experience. So I don't think that can be a distinguishing feature in terms of starting your own business. Obviously, understanding a business well is a key requirement of starting a business. But we all, I would assume that most of us have that when we work in an industry. I would say that the key ingredient that I, at least what I have understood in my my journey of the last 10 years or so, is to really plan well. You should know your business, yes, of course, but the planning is just key. And planning is just not planning how to execute the business, but you should have everything well planned, including your financial resources, in terms of your human resources, your networking, how you're going to establish it, what you will do if you faced harsh conditions, whether you have planned for rainy days. So it requires a lot of initial planning. And I don't think many people do that. I have looked at many businesses which fail because of lack of planning on one aspect of planning. Just not, if you ignore, for instance, the financial planning, if you ignore the whether you have the right network and you have planned to be part of that network, and then comes the hardest part. What if in the first few years you do not experience the conducive business environment? It happens to a lot of people. Sometimes the macroeconomic conditions deteriorate, and people just don't plan well. And people assume a lot of good things when they start their business. So the key experience that I have learned is to plan well if you want to be successful. Now, in terms of whether Pakistani organizations are ready for women, there are certain type of organizations which I think are ready, and I would say most of the organizations are not. There is a mindset here. This is a very male chauvinistic society where women are not accepted as equal partners. But I have, at a personal level, I have always encouraged you. You were the first CFO of the company, and I remember I hired you by advertising. And I did not hire people from my own, friends and family.
Yeah.
So I selected you from a pool of applicants, and it didn't matter whether you were a man or a woman. Similarly, I remember after you left, the other CFO was a Hindu. So it doesn't matter. If anybody who is qualified, who can do the job well, should be taken. But Pakistani women, I would say, has a long way to go in terms of being part of the corporate sector. There are a few hurdles here. The institution of marriage. I mean, that's a problem all over the world. I don't think we have resolved. I think I just heard Saira telling us that they have a daycare center. I don't think many organizations can either afford that, or even they have anything of that sort in their mind. So there is institutionalized discrimination against women in this country, and somehow they. My own experience is that it will be a while before, and that's just as a society. I remember, the Karl Marx, one of the famous quotes. A lot of people remember him for his economic, wisdom, but one of the most profound things that he has said is that you can judge the progress of any society by fair sex, and that's true. And look at Pakistani society where the women stand here. And then you will know the answer whether this society is fit to take them.
So we have a long way to go before, to bring in gender balance in organizations in Pakistan. Before I ask my next question, there's this one good news I'd like to share. You all must know that 6 of the Pakistani youth have been selected in the Forbes 30 under 30 for Asia. 3 of them are women, or I should say girls, and 2 of them are a part of the team that has also been listed. Mr. Shahjahan, do you think that current economic environment is feasible for entrepreneurship in Pakistan? And what role, because you have past experience of technology, so what role can investment in technology play? in uplifting the economy?
So, I recently went to the Bay Area and I've been looking at companies which have succeeded and done well. So Kareem is a, uska, and the exit happened after that. So Kareem is one company, Elastica is another company, Keep Trucking is another company. And example after example, what we're seeing is that Pakistani founders who have chosen to set up shop somewhere else and used Pakistan as a base and build a company which targeted a market which was outside Pakistan have done really well. And so there is a relatively small number of Pakistani founders who have done that, and a very large number of Pakistani founders are trying to do that inside Pakistan. And we don't see those examples here. And the reason we don't see that examples is from a tech startup perspective and building large value companies is that our regulatory environment is right now not conducive to that. So if somebody wants to build a large company, it makes 100 times more sense to, even if you want to sell something here, register it in Amsterdam, register it in Singapore, register it in Delaware, and run it here, and in the rest of the world. And the problems start with, from taxation, where, in the last 5-10 years, we've had this conversation around, Pakistani tax nahi pay karte, filers hain, non-filers hain. And that entire debate, what we've forgotten is that agar transactions hongi, to phir tax hoga. And we have chosen to go in a direction over time कि जिसके अंदर taxation has become the priority and transactions हो या ना हो, which means economy grow करे या ना करे is irrelevant. Okay. And it should be the other way around, which is कि we should encourage more transactions and then figure out how to generate more tax. But tax is just one part. From a corporate governance perspective, we can't give employee share options. There's no concept of sweat equity. You have to, how you bring money into the company is really complex right now to justify founders' equity. We don't have a clear path to public markets. Our public markets are not thick enough. Our formal sector, so what the government is trying to do right now is trying to formalize the informal sector without thinking, how do we grow the formal sector? What's wrong, what's missing, or what's stopping the formal sector from becoming larger? And what we need to do is we need to figure out how do we make it easy for our larger companies to grow bigger, our mid-sized company to go forward, and even companies, successful companies like Khadi are unable to expand globally the way they could if we had a pro-business environment. We hold our successes back, and I've seen this across the board, across industries, whether it's fashion or technology or and other areas. Except we only see successes where companies are targeting the national market. There's some sort of subsidy involved. There's some sort of government contract involved, and then they do well. But whenever you work in the pure private sector, it's really challenging right now to build a great company out of Pakistan. And running the National Incubation Center, we have more than 30 startups in our program. I don't think that our challenge is founders. I don't think our challenge is capital. I don't think our challenge is investors. Our challenge is entirely regulatory. Our regulatory environment right now is not pro-business. And until it happens, a Kareem-like company will not happen out of Pakistan. And that's what I'm working on, trying to figure out, how do we solve this. So, yeah.
As someone who has been working with the taxation committee in ICAP, I clearly understand, the taxation laws and there are certain economic policies that need to be amended to encourage, businesses in Pakistan. Obviously, there needs to be, there's more work that needs to be done. Faraisa, my question to you, you are a radiologist, an entrepreneur, a singer. You on a daily basis, you juggle with so many roles in your life. That one question which is very common, but it's from the heart of every working woman. How do you manage your work-life balance?
It's a great question. I think I manage it by being organized. There's a time for everything, and the day goes by the clock. Even for me and the kids and for my husband, the maid knows that, everything has to be done at a certain time. Of course, if you need to, I think a woman has such multifaceted roles in the society. You know, she's a daughter, she's a wife, she's a mother, she's a friend, and you know, she's a sister. She has to play up to all those roles and make you know, justice to all of those roles, and all of these things require time. So I think the women do suffer at the end of the day with no time for themselves. So I do believe that you know, a woman, a working woman, be it a working woman, even a woman that's in the home, you know, they all require time to themselves, you know, to be with friends, or you know, just to have a spa day, you know. But the thing is that it can only happen when one is organized, and you know, you have priorities set in your life. And at the end, I would like to say that something that I read recently, that this is a man's world. This is a man's world. But it wouldn't be anything, nothing without a woman or a girl. So, you know, we make the world go round, no matter what. The woman is the crux of, or the backbone for every family here.